Hi, automotive enthusiasts. Welcome to Cam and Crank, where today we dive into the timeless roar of the 1969 Dodge Charger RT and uncover why this muscle car remains an icon more than half a century after its debut. Picture a moment in American history when highways felt endless, gasoline was cheap, and the nation's appetite for speed and style was insatiable. The Charger RT wasn't just another car rolling off Detroit's assembly lines. It was a rolling statement of rebellion, engineering bravado, and pop culture swagger. In this video, we're going to explore how Dodge transformed a sleek fastback into one of the most recognizable silhouettes on the road, why its performance and design innovations mattered then and still resonate now, and how its cultural imprint, from NASCAR dominance to silver screen fame, cements it as a lasting legend. You'll hear about the bold decisions behind its styling and powertrains, the engineering tweaks that made it more than just a pretty face, and the cultural currents that lifted it from showroom floors into the realm of myth. We'll navigate the backstory of Dodge chasing glory against rivals like Ford and Chevrolet. We'll trace the Charger RT's meteoric rise through motorsports and media, and we'll examine its lasting impact on modern muscle cars and enthusiast culture. Along the way, we'll pull apart the moments where the Charger RT transcended sheet metal and pistons to become a symbol of freedom and attitude in late 60s America. By the end, you'll see how a single model year of Dodge's performance lineup didn't just influence car design, but helped define an entire era's sense of speed, identity, and thrill. So buckle up, because what starts as a story about a muscle car will unfold into a portrait of American ambition, ingenuity, and the enduring chase for automotive greatness. The Dodge Charger RT didn't emerge in a vacuum. It was born from a collision of market pressure, cultural shifts, and bold engineering choices that turned a midsize coupe into a muscle car deity. Microstory, picture, Dodge executives in the late 1960s staring at sales charts. Ford's Mustang had ignited the pony car craze, Chevrolet's Camaro was gaining ground, and Plymouth's Roadrunner was stealing budget-minded speed seekers. Dodge needed a halo car that was brash enough to grab attention, yet refined enough to carry the brand's performance image. The result was the second-generation Charger, and in 1969, the RT trim became its purest expression of muscle. The bold Coke bottle profile, recessed grille, and hidden headlights promised power even at a standstill. While the 440 Magnum V8 and optional 426 Hemi delivered the thunder, reflection bridge, but image alone wouldn't carry a car to legend status. The Charger RT had to prove itself on the track and in the public imagination, and that challenge would define its destiny. Microstory. At NASCAR's high-banked ovals, Dodge engineers realized the Charger's sleek shape wasn't just aesthetic flair. Wind tunnel testing revealed drag issues at high speeds, leading to subtle tweaks like the 1969 Charger 500's flush grille and rear window to slice the air more cleanly. These changes weren't glamorous, but they turned the Charger into a genuine contender against Ford's aerodynamic Torino Talladega. That competitive spirit brought Dodge into the thick of one of stock car racing's most ferocious eras. Context digest. The Charger RT's performance numbers backed up its looks. The 440 Magnum churned out 375 horsepower, while the 426 Hemi's advertised 425 horses were notoriously underrated. 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds was headline-grabbing for a full-sized coupe, but its handling and braking upgrades, like heavy-duty suspension and front disc brakes, made it more than a straight-line bruiser. Microstory. Back on the streets, the Charger RT became a fixture of American youth culture. Weekend cruises, local drag strips, and parking lot hangouts featured its rumble. Owners personalized them with stripes, spoilers, and aftermarket carbs, transforming each into a rolling extension of identity. To many, the Charger RT wasn't just transportation. It was a declaration of independence on 4 wheels, reflection bridge. Yet the RT's cultural cachet would soon expand beyond car meets. Television and movies would immortalize its profile and sound in ways Dodge itself could never have scripted. Context digest. Enter Bullitt in 1968, and later, the Dukes of Hazzard, though not every on-screen. Charger was an RT. The association stuck. Viewers saw a Charger outrun San Francisco cops or leap Georgia dirt roads and equated that spectacle with Dodge's flagship muscle car. This media exposure elevated the Charger's reputation. making even non-enthusiasts recognize its silhouette. Microstory, NASCAR victories and Hollywood chase scenes created a feedback loop. Racing success lent authenticity to the on-screen stunts, while those stunts inspired fans to view Dodge as the brand of boldness and bravado. This synergy transformed the Charger RT from a high-performance option into a cultural shorthand for speed and rebellion. Context Digest. Beneath the fame, Dodge engineers were quietly refining the formula. Suspension geometry improvements, drivetrain durability, and trim updates aimed to keep the Charger competitive in a market flooded with challengers. These incremental tweaks demonstrated Dodge's commitment to substance, ensuring the RT wasn't a one-year wonder, but part of a legacy that would echo through decades. Microstory. In garages across America, young gearheads discovered that the Charger's B-body platform was both tough and tunable. Swapping cams, headers, and gears, they pushed the RT to new performance heights. Street legends grew around these cars, stories of improbable victories at sanctioned drag strips or of mechanical resilience that turned skeptics into believers. The Charger RT had earned its reputation not by hype alone, but through real-world feats. Reflection bridge. Still, no icon remains untouchable. Rising insurance rates, looming emission standards, and changing tastes were gathering like storm clouds on the horizon. And that shifting landscape would test the Charger's legacy and push Dodge to reimagine what a muscle car could be next. As the 1970s dawned, the automotive world began to change, and the Dodge Charger RT faced new realities that would shape its place in history. Microstory. The early 70s oil crisis and insurance crackdowns hit performance cars hard. Suddenly, raw horsepower was a liability, not a bragging point. The Charger RT, once a symbol of unrestrained power, had to navigate a market where buyers worried about premiums and fuel economy. Yet even as regulations tightened, the Charger's image stayed powerful, reminding enthusiasts of an era when freedom and speed felt limitless. Context Digest. Dodge experimented with styling updates and equipment packages, but nothing recaptured the 1969 magic. While later Chargers found success in NASCAR's aerodynamic wars, the pure, raw attitude of the RT had become a benchmark that rivals struggled to match. Microstory. Meanwhile, Hollywood kept the flame alive. Reruns of The Dukes of Hazzard and Car Culture magazines showcased the Charger's past glory, creating nostalgia that would swell in the coming decades. For kids growing up in the 80s and 90s, the Charger wasn't just an old car. It was the hero of their favorite chases, Reflection Bridge. That nostalgia would become a powerful force, fueling a revival of muscle car culture and inspiring Dodge to revisit its performance roots. Context Digest. By the late 90s and early 2000s, American automakers realized that heritage could sell. Dodge's decision to resurrect the Charger name in 2006 sparked debate. 4 doors and modern safety standards meant it wasn't a carbon copy of the past. But the styling cues and performance packages nodded directly to 1969. Microstory. Enthusiasts argued about authenticity, but the revival did what Dodge needed. It reignited passion for the badge and reminded the market of the RT's rebellious DNA. SRT and Hellcat trims pushed performance boundaries again, echoing the audacity of the original. Microstory car shows and collector auctions became theaters of Charger worship. Pristine 1969 RTs crossed the block for 6-figure sums, proof that the car had transcended its production run to become rolling art and investment. Context Digest. Digital culture amplified the legend. Video games, movies, and online forums introduced the Charger to new generations who weren't alive when the original thundered off the line. The car became a cross-generational language of cool reflection bridge. Yet the Charger RT's legacy isn't just about nostalgia. It's about how one model year shaped our understanding of what a muscle car could represent. Microstory. Consider the influence on modern design. Wide stances, aggressive grills, and unapologetic powertrains in today's muscle cars all trace their lineage back to that 1969 blueprint. Even electric performance concepts borrow the Charger's muscular proportions to evoke emotion. Microstory. The culture around resto mods demonstrates this influence further. Builders combine classic Charger shells with modern tech, fuel injection, coilover suspensions, and digital dashboards, proving the shape and spirit of the RT are timeless. Even as technology evolves, context digest in racing, echoes of the Charger's NASCAR triumphs persist. Modern stock cars may look different, but the aerodynamic lessons learned from the Charger's flush grills and smoothed lines still inform competition engineering today. Reflection bridge. The Charger RT's story is more than a chapter in automotive history. It's a reminder that design, performance, and cultural timing can align to create something larger than life. And as we turn toward its enduring cultural impact, the stakes rise even higher, revealing why this 1969 icon still matters in an era of electrification and shifting automotive values. The enduring cultural impact of the 1969 Dodge Charger RT lies in its ability to bridge generations and adapt to shifting automotive values while retaining its rebellious spirit. Microstory. In modern car meets across the United States, it's common to see a restored Charger RT parked beside a brand new Hellcat or even an electric muscle concept. The old and new owners trade stories, their shared admiration for the Charger dissolving generational divides. This connection underscores how a single model year's design and personality can outlive its original context. Context digest. The Charger RT's place in American pop culture continues through streaming platforms, memorabilia, and collectibles. Even those who have never driven one can instantly recognize its Coke bottle silhouette and associate it with cinematic chases and high-octane heroics. The car's visual language has become shorthand for freedom and audacity. Microstory. The rise of social media has amplified this phenomenon. Influencers and automotive creators showcase Chargers as symbols of authenticity. Restoration shops livestream builds that attract global audiences, and younger enthusiasts learn the Charger's history through viral clips. The car has transformed into a digital era ambassador for classic muscle. Reflection bridge. Yet the Charger's resonance isn't limited to nostalgia. It offers lessons about innovation and brand identity that automakers still heed today. Context digest. Dodge's willingness to take risks in 1969, to push aerodynamics, styling, and power beyond convention, remains a benchmark for bold product decisions. When modern manufacturers debut daring designs or resurrect classic badges, they're following a trail the Charger blazed. Microstory. Consider how electric vehicle designers borrow Charger cues to inject emotion into silent drivetrains. The wide haunches and aggressive fronts of EV concepts suggest that even in a world of batteries and software, the visual and emotional vocabulary of muscle cars matters. Microstory. At high-profile auctions, record-breaking sales of pristine RTs send ripples through collector markets, reinforcing the car's status as both cultural artifact and financial investment. These moments remind us that the Charger's story is far from over. It continues to influence decisions, wallets, and dreams. Context digest. The Charger's journey from NASCAR ovals to Hollywood screens to modern driveways illustrates how mechanical art can outlive its creators and original purpose. It has become part of America's collective memory, a symbol of an era when boldness defined engineering and culture alike. Reflection bridge. And as we look ahead to an automotive future dominated by electrification, autonomy, and environmental concerns, the Charger RT stands as a reminder that passion and personality must never be engineered out of performance cars. Microstory. In garages where parents restore their Chargers with their kids, knowledge passes down like heirlooms. Torque specs and paint codes become family stories, ensuring that the Charger's influence will persist for decades. The car is no longer just steel and horsepower, it's a vessel of memories and identity. Microstory. Even car makers outside the muscle niche cite the Charger when discussing brand heritage strategies, proving its influence crosses categories and continents. The RT has become more than a Dodge legend, it's a universal touchstone for automotive character. Context digest. Enthusiasts watching the shift to electrification often point to the Charger as proof that emotional design and cultural relevance can coexist with innovation. It's a touchstone reminding everyone that cars are not just appliances but experiences. Reflection bridge. The Charger RT's cultural gravity shows that an automobile can be more than transportation. It can be a symbol of aspiration, community, and creativity. And as our story reaches its conclusion, the Charger RT's roar continues to echo, demanding we remember the audacity that once defined an era and still shapes the road ahead. The story of the 1969 Dodge Charger RT is a testament to the power of timing, vision, and boldness in automotive history. Its emergence in a turbulent America mirrored a culture hungry for expression and excitement, and its Coke bottle curves, thunderous V8s, and NASCAR credibility delivered exactly that. Even as regulations and markets shifted, its image refused to fade. The Charger RT became more than metal and rubber. It was an idea that people could own a piece of rebellion, a tangible embodiment of freedom on the open road. As we traced its journey from showroom floors and racetracks to Hollywood stardom and modern collector auctions, we saw how a single model year could ripple across decades, influencing design, engineering, and even pop culture storytelling. It shaped Dodge's identity, guided modern muscle revival strategies, and reminded enthusiasts that character counts as much as performance. Today, whether it's a pristine Survivor commanding six-figure bids or a Restomod blending classic form with cutting-edge tech, the Charger RT continues to inspire new generations. Its legacy endures in the stance of modern Chargers, in the roar of SRT engines, and even in electric prototypes borrowing its attitude. For automotive enthusiasts, it stands as proof that great cars transcend their time, connecting people through shared passion and memory. Thanks for riding with us on Cam and Crank. See you next time, automotive enthusiasts.